People love to say they're either left-brained or right-brained. And while that's fun to talk about, modern neuroscience says we actually use both sides all the time. Still, the idea stuck around because our brains do divide up the work. One side focuses on logic, the other on creativity, and together, they're the reason you can do math and daydream about quitting your job. So those stereotypes do come from somewhere. But before we get into it, tap that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell. It's free, it helps us out, and it lets YouTube know you prefer facts over, cat videos. I'm Mike with List25, and these are 25 fascinating differences between left-brained and right-brained people. 25. Thinking in words versus thinking in pictures. Ask 10 people how they solve a problem in their head, and you'll probably get two kinds of answers. Some say they talk themselves through it. Others see it. Left-brain thinkers run on words and logic. There's a narrator in their head, almost like they're explaining things to themselves. If they're planning a vacation, they're probably listing the itinerary in order. Right-brain thinkers, on the other hand, think in pictures. They don't hear a voice. They see the scene play out like a mental movie. Ask them to brainstorm and they'll describe images, shapes, or patterns instead of sentences. You can even spot the difference in note-taking. The left-brain person writes tidy bullet points. The right-brain one covers the page in arrows and doodles. 24. Facts and figures versus feelings and faces. Left-brain thinkers are known for staying calm and logical in emotional situations. They listen for facts, not feelings, and focus on what's being said instead of how it's being said. That can make them sound practical or a little detached, since they're the friend who says, "Okay, let's fix this," when you really wanted, "Yeah, that sucks." Right-brain people, on the other hand, tune into everything in between the lines. They pick up on tone, posture, and the smallest shifts in expression. They're natural empaths who can read a room in seconds. Scientists have found that the right hemisphere plays a stronger role in processing faces and nonverbal cues. So in any group, the left-brainer keeps things on track, and the right-brainer keeps everyone feeling sane. 23. Plain talkers versus poets. Some people say exactly what they mean. Others turn a 5-minute story into an hour-long Broadway show. The first group usually falls under the left-brain banner, direct and literal. They like clarity. If you ask how their day was, they'll tell you what they did, not how it felt. Right-brain communicators live on the other side of that spectrum. They speak in color. Stories, comparisons, and tone do half the talking. They'll describe traffic like a battle and a boring meeting like a hostage situation. Sarcasm, body language, and context all matter. 22. The perfectionist versus the visionary. There's always that one person at the office who won't rest until every box is ticked and reticked. That's your left-brain perfectionist. They live for details. Numbers, grammar, exact timing, it all matters. If a spreadsheet is off by a decimal, they'll spot it before anyone else. Then there's the right-brain visionary, who couldn't care less about decimals even if the big idea sings. They'll see how everything connects, the overall flow, the emotion, the story behind the work. While the perfectionist adjusts pixels, the visionary is already sketching the next concept on a napkin. One builds the plan, the other imagines what's possible. The magic happens when they actually share a workspace. As long as the perfectionist doesn't fix the visionary's whiteboard sketches first. 21. Sudoku versus Symphony. If you hand a left-brain person a free afternoon, there's a good chance they'll fill it with structure. They like activities that come with rules and clean answers. Crossword puzzles, Sudoku, strategy games, maybe reorganizing their record collection just because the mood hit. Even their downtime has an order to it. Right-brain people tend to go the other way. They want something that stirs the imagination. Think paint, music, movement, storytelling, anything that, doesn't have a scorecard. Give them a guitar, a notebook, or a blank canvas, and they'll lose hours without caring what time it is. 20. Neat freak versus creative mess. Psychologists say that the more creative thinkers often rely on visual memory, using piles and clutter as mental bookmarks. To them, that stack of notes on their desk isn't a mess, it's a map of ideas in progress. Einstein had the same problem and once joked, if a cluttered desk is a sign of a cluttered mind, of what then is an empty desk a sign? If you see papers everywhere, half-finished projects, maybe a coffee mug with, questionable contents, you have found yourself a right-brain person. If it's color-coded, scheduled, and alphabetized, you've stepped into the left-brain office. Mess distracts them the way noise distracts a musician. They perform at their best when their environment matches their mental order. 19. Left hand, right brain. The hand you write with can actually say a lot about how your brain's wired. A team at Yale looked at over 1,000 brain scans and found that left-handers have brain connections that work a little differently. Left-handed people show stronger links between the parts of the brain that control movement and the limbic system, which handles emotion. So, being a lefty makes you right-brained whether you want to be or not, and it might even determine how you process feelings and react to the world. The researchers also saw similar patterns in foot and eye dominance. Maybe that's why left-handers often stand out as creative or emotionally expressive. 18. The planner versus the spontaneity champion. You can tell which brain someone runs on just by watching them pack for a trip. The left brain planner suitcase has labeled compartments, backup snacks, and an itinerary printed out, just in case. They've already picked the restaurant, checked the reviews, and know what time they'll get there. Then, there's the right brain friend who wakes up, throws a toothbrush in a bag, and says, "Let's see where the day takes us." They live for detours and unplanned stops, and if they forgot something, it's just a part of the story. Structure makes them itch. They'd rather improvise. 17. The step-by-step scholar versus the hands-on learner. Some kids like structure. Give them a syllabus, a clear goal, and a set of directions, and they're in their element. They highlight, they outline, they memorize by repetition. When a teacher asks for volunteers, their hand goes up, but only after they're sure of the answer. The other kids will be halfway through sketching a rocket in their notebook before the lecture even begins. They learn by touching, moving, talking, and testing. If they can see it, build it, or connect it to a story, it will stick. They'll remember the time the teacher dropped a beaker way better than the equation that caused it. Traditional lectures drive them nuts. It's too slow, too quiet, and comes with too many words that don't turn into anything that they can picture. Some families come with one of each, and those parents will tell you balance is everything. You can't teach them the same way unless you want something crying. And it's usually the parent. 16. Lone wolf versus team player. Group projects are always a gamble. You know it the moment someone says, "Let's split the work." There's always going to be one person who takes half the assignment home and finishes it before anyone checks the group chat. Then there's the other person who wants to talk it through for 3 hours first. The lone wolf brain craves quiet focus. The team player needs connection. They think through conversation, not before it. Psychologically, it boils down to a difference in processing. Analytical versus social, structured versus collaborative. But to anyone who's actually worked in a team or had to sit through all these never-ending strategy sessions, it is much simpler than that. You've got people who keep things moving and people who keep things in check. 15. Left brain marketing versus right brain marketing. Did that wonderful ad make you cry, or did it make you think? Left brain campaigns throw data at you. Charts, stats, bold promises about faster, cheaper, better. It is all about logic, and it works on people who want proof before passion. I mean, do you remember the 2009 Verizon "There's a Map for That" campaign? That was pure left brain energy. Then you've got the ads that make you feel something before you even know what's being sold. A lost puppy, a tearful reunion, memorable music in the background. That's storytelling over strategy. And it works because emotion gets remembered longer than numbers. Most good brands don't pick sides. They blend them. Facts make you listen, feelings make you buy. It's that simple. 14. The daydreamer versus the worker bee. It's fun to joke about that one friend who has the concentration of a monk while another has the attention span of a golden retriever. Left brain people have tunnel vision focus. When they concentrate on a task, they zero in and won't even notice the world around them. The right brain friend is not necessarily unfocused, they're just easily distracted by new ideas, the outside world, or even their own imaginings. Daydreaming is a hallmark of the creative right brain lore, so they can come up with brilliant out-of-the-box ideas, but also lose track of time or forget what the teacher said just 5 minutes ago. 13. Calendar keepers versus time forgetters. If a meeting starts at 3, the left brain person's already there at 2:55 with a planner, a pen, and probably a backup pen, and a pencil for good measure. They live by their calendars and reminders, and when plans change, you can almost see the stress appear in real time. The right brain have a looser deal with the clock. They'll tell you they work best under pressure, and yeah, they do. It's not that they don't care about deadlines, they just get there differently. Their brains kick in when the pressure hits, often pulling off something brilliant at the last second. People even joke that right-brainers run on creative time, which basically means that their ideas arrive when they feel like it. Sometimes at 2 a.m., sometimes right before the meeting starts. Interestingly though, researchers haven't found a single time center in our brains, but brain injuries have shown that our sense of time can be affected by various neural networks. So it does seem like some of us are built to follow the schedule and others to completely ignore it. 12. The Worrier versus the Worrier. A 2024 study in the journal Laterally found that fear lights up the right side of the brain much more than happiness or anger. That's why the right brain types are often more intuitive in tense situations. The researchers had people look at faces showing different emotions and found that the right hemisphere was far more involved when fear showed up. Basically, that's the side of your brain that spots trouble before logic kicks in. It's also the same system that helps you read other people's expressions, so it's always watching for signs of danger. So when someone says they just had a bad feeling, that instinct could actually be rooted in how their brain processes fear. The right brain sees the threat. The left brain just tries to make sense of it after the fact. 11. Routine versus variety. This difference shows up in daily life, from how people structure what they do every morning to how people approach their hobbies. The creatures of habit follow a set routine, gym on Mondays, laundry on Tuesdays, and stick to what they know works. For example, a left-brain music lover might listen to their favorite album on repeat, or the professional might use the same tried and true method for every project. Consistency is key. But those guys who are always suggesting a new restaurant, picking up a new kind of book, or redecorating a room at midnight prefer creative, holistic thinking. This person changes their jogging route or puts orange rind in their soup because why not? Psychologically, being open to new experiences is associated with the trait of openness, which isn't literally one hemisphere, but humor me. Right-brainers look for change and find routine boring, while left-brainers look for structure and can find change stressful. 10. The Analyzer versus the Improviser. You've got two types of problem solvers. The first breaks things into steps, double checks the logic, and won't move on until they're sure it all lines up. It's methodical and structured. Then there's the other type, who skips the checklist completely. They see a problem, throw a few ideas at it, and somehow land on the answer by pure luck. Right brain thinkers work by instinct. They don't need to trace the path, they just feel where it's headed. Both ways actually work. One just takes the scenic route, while the other cuts straight through the bushes. 9. Zooming in on details versus seeing the whole picture. If you ask something about the weather, a left-brainer will give you the forecast. There's a 30% chance of rain, and those are cumulonimbus clouds, which usually mean thunder. Meanwhile, right-brain people are going to take a wider view. They'll say something like, the sky looks terrible. It feels like there's going to be a massive storm. They'll touch the grass, look at the forest, listen to the wind, and smell the air, where left-brainers see the trees and focus on what they know for a fact. 8. Repeating the facts versus painting a picture. How do you memorize phone numbers or study for an exam? The left brain, right brain folklore says our strategies differ. A left brain person focuses on repetition and verbal recall. They'll recite the facts over and over, maybe aloud or by writing them down, until they stick. Left brain types also love lists, and sequences. So memorizing step by step, like the order of every US president, might come naturally. Other people remember best if they use images, associations, and stories. A right-brainer will remember that phone number by linking the digits to memorable dates or to a geometric pattern. There's some truth that multiple memory pathways, visual, auditory, emotional, improve our recall. That's why teachers usually encourage right-brain style tricks like mnemonics and doodles. But left-brain approaches, like repetition, can also be practical, especially for short-term recall, so you do you. 7. Map followers versus compass feelers. Okay, what's your navigation style? You like turn-by-turn directions, GPS prompts, and a backup paper map just in case? Some people plan the route, memorize the exit numbers, and know exactly how long each leg is going to take. They think in miles, north and south, and clear steps like go 3 miles, then turn right on Pine. Then there's the other kind of traveler, the one who says, turn left at the red barn, then drive past a big oak tree. You'll see it. Right brain types tend to navigate by landmarks and vibes more than distance. They've got great spatial awareness, but might not always stick to the plan, which is why they sometimes, get lost. Left brain drivers, on the other hand, usually arrive right on time, even if they miss a few cool detours along the way. 6. Names versus faces. Some people never forget a name. Others never forget a face. And then there's the rest of us, forgetting both 5 seconds after the handshake. Left brain people usually fall into the first camp. They're language focused, so names, job titles, even the exact phrasing of a conversation tends to stick. They might meet you once and remember that you're, Cynthia from accounting who just bought a kayak. But a month later, they might walk right past you in the grocery store without realizing who you are. Right brain personalities are the opposite. They'll recognize your face instantly, even if you've changed your hair and moved across the country. They just can't remember what to call you. That's because face recognition mostly happens in the right hemisphere, while names live on the left. 5. Cautious calculators versus impulsive adventurers. If we're going along with pop psychology, you've got a friend who looks before they leap, maybe several times from multiple angles. They're cautious, planning-oriented, and naturally risk-averse. Before making a big move, whether it's an investment, a career change, or even a different route to the office, the left-brainer likes to gather facts and be sure of the outcome. Then there's the other kind of friend, the borderline impulsive ones. They'll follow a hunch, even when the plan isn't fully formed. A right-brain friend might wake up and decide to book a last-minute flight to a country they just learned about, or splurge on a new gadget simply because it caught their creative eye, while a left-brainer would budget and deliberate for weeks. If you picture them both on a plane, one is providing the parachute, and the other is providing the push out. 4. Facts versus feels in an argument. When differences come up, left brain and right brain people tend to handle them in completely different ways. The left brain type treats it like a case to be argued logically. They gather facts, point out contradictions, and keep their tone calm and measured. If things get emotional, they'll try to steer it back to reason. And if the conversation starts to heat up, they might even pull back, uncomfortable with where it's going. Right brain personality types, on the other hand, don't separate how they feel from what they're saying. If they're upset, you'll know it. They might raise their voice, get frustrated, or just as easily soften up and listen with empathy. Each side can drive the other a little crazy. The left brainer sees emotion as a disadvantage, while the right brainer sees logic as cold. But the truth is, the best way to solve anything is a mix of both. So if an argument comes up, it's good if you can try to do a bit of both. 3. Minimalist chic versus artsy flair. What we wear can actually affect how we think and perform, a concept called enclothed cognition. And while there's no proof that fashion sense comes from one side of the brain or the other, the differences in how people dress often fit the pop psychology patterns pretty well. Some people dress for practicality. Think clean lines, simple colors, and their closet probably looks like a row of slightly different versions of the same thing. Feeling called out here. It's the same logic behind Steve Jobs' black turtleneck or the classic navy suit. One decision made once, then never again. Then you've got the other side of the spectrum, the ones who treat clothes like a mood ring. Their outfit changes depending on how they feel that day. Left-brainers don't want to waste mental effort on frivolous fashion decisions when they could be solving problems. Right-brainers see getting dressed as another outlet for creativity. I have a lot of different colors, I feel like I'm a mix. 2. Sheet music versus jam session. When it comes to music, the whole left brain, right brain idea really hits a high note. The more analytical type usually connects with the technical side of music. Think of a classically trained pianist who practices scales every day, reads sheet music like it's a second language, and can explain every chord change in a Beethoven sonata. They might even enjoy organizing playlists by key or tempo and appreciate songs for their precision and structure. Then there's the other type of musician, the one who plays by instinct. They might not read sheet music, but hand them a guitar and they'll figure out a song by ear. Both of them are amazing in their own way. 1. Stoic versus animated expression. You can often spot the difference between these two thinking styles just by how people move and express themselves. Some of us are more reserved in our body language. We'll stand or sit still, careful not to let gestures distract from what we're saying. When we speak, our tone stays steady. Our hands mostly stay put. Others are far more animated. They talk with their hands, make big gestures, and their faces tell the whole story. Every emotion shows up right away, from wide eyes of surprise to a grin that takes over their whole face. If you've ever played poker or charades, you've seen this in action. The calm, logical type is great at poker, but terrible at charades. And the expressive one is the total opposite. The best communicators learn to balance both, adding a little warmth to logic and a little control to passion. So, at the end of the day, it's all written in the body as much as the brain. And that's a wrap. So, which one are you? Be honest. Gotta admit, kind of feel like a little bit of both depending on which number I was on. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, and commenting. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And you know what? If you're not ready to go just yet, I've got another list just like this for you. 25 lesser known facts about left-handedness. It is one of our most watched videos ever, so do yourself a favor and go check it out. The link is going to pop up about right here any second now. Have a great one, and I'll see you again soon.